Namaskar. Welcome to this session on devotion to the Almighty in the series of Bhagavad Geeta in daily life. Devotion to the Almighty means Bhagwan ki jo bhakti. How we can do that? What is the importance in our life? What is the role? What are the ways of worshipping the divine? And what is the benefit of worshipping the divine? Let us hear from Sakshat Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita what he has to say about Hari ki Bhakti. It is said that even an impossible thing becomes possible by devotion. And that is the power of devotion. It has huge power. It is also said prayers can move mountains, and that is a huge power that devotion can have. From the first to the sixth adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan talks about the Atma Jnana, the divine knowledge. In the second adhyaya talks about the Karma Yoga. In the third adhyaya elaborates the Karma Yoga. And from the fourth and the fifth adhyaya talks about the Jnana Karma Sannyasa. How with the knowledge, understanding, we can come out of karma. And finally in the sixth adhyaya talks about Atma Sanyama Yoga. How we can restrain ourselves and understand this knowledge. From the 7th to the 12th adhyaya are mainly devoted to Ishvara, understanding of who is the God, who is Lord, and how we can devote to the divine, Bhakti. And from the 7th adhyaya, the first slok itself, it starts, Bhagavan says, Mai asakta manaha. Mai asakta manaha means attach to me. Put your mind in me. Keep your mind in me and attach to me. Hey Partha, mat ashraya. Surrender to me. Yogam yunjan. And by attaching to me, by surrendering to me, you keep doing your yoga sadhana. What Bhagavan has already talked, Lokesmin Dividha Nishta, Karma Yoga and Gnana Yoga. Karma Yoga initially and then with understanding Gnana Yoga. That is what Bhagavan wants us to do. And he says, listen to this. There is no doubt about it. Be sure that you will know me. Mam Samagram Gnasasi. You will know me completely. And Bhagavan is trying to tell us that if you want to attain the divine, you have to leave Vairagya. You have to leave with understanding this world, and we have to gradually attach ourselves to Ishvara. Spend more and more time. Our mind, our surrender, our bhavana, all of our karma should be towards the Lord. And then in the 7th adhyaya, in the 19th shloka, Bhagavan says this journey of the spiritual journey is quite it's what is it and how he says Bahunam Janmanam. After many births, it's not just in one birth we will attain the divine. It is not as simple as that, because the spiritual practices, the sadhana has to be continued for many births. A Gnanvan, person who becomes enlightened, a wise person, will achieve me. And what is his understanding? What is his knowledge? What is his divinity? Knowledge of the divinity, that Vasudevaha Sarvam Iti. That is the knowledge that everything is God, and that is the understanding of this wise person. And with this Mahatma Sudurlabha, this kind of a wise man, great man, is a very rare human being. Not everyone can achieve this divinity. It is said that God is omnipresent. It is said that divinity is omnipresent, but we cannot see it everywhere. But our Shastras tell us that it is everywhere. And this is our spiritual journey, how we can try to see divinity everywhere in its presence. And that itself is a rare thing for a human being. And that is the ultimate goal of our human life, our human existence. That is what our scriptures tell us. And how can we attain this at the end of our life? Krishna says, Antakale cha mameva. At the end of the life, if somebody remembers me, Smaran muktva kalevaram. He leaves his body by remembering me, Smaran. मेरा स्मरण करते हुए अगर कोई ये शरीर छोड़ता है, Yap Prayati, one who goes on an onward journey, that Jiva will attain me only Mad Bhavam Yati. He says, Atra Sanshayana Asti. There is no doubt about it. This kind of Jiva Bhakta will definitely attain me. They will attain my original self. That is what Bhagavan tells us. And that's why he says, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. At all times, at every time, there is no exception. He says, Mamanusmara. You remember me, do my smarana, whatever you are doing. And along with this, Yuddhacha. You do your Yuddha here because that is the duty of Arjuna in his Ranabhumi, Karma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. That is the duty. And Bhagavan is trying to tell us all that we should all do our duties to the best of our abilities, along with smarana, along with remembering the name of the Lord. And that will make our karma into karma yoga. It will make our karma into Ishwararpana bhavana. And he says, Mayi arpita manor buddhihi. Surrender to me with your mind and intellect. Mind and intellect are our biggest assets, and Bhagavan wants both of them. He says, Mam eva eshyasi asanshayam. Don't worry, there is no doubt that you will attain me. Only you will attain the Almighty, the divinity. And then there are several ways how Upasana or Bhakti can be done. It says, Om is also one of the ways how we can do our Upasana. Omite kaksharam Brahma. It is one-lettered word describing the Brahman. Brahma is the eternal consciousness, the divinity. And by repeating Om, which is Ekakshari Nam of Brahma, he says, Ma Manusmaran, you will remember me only by remembering, by Smaran, by chanting of the Om, and with its meaning, because Om consists of both the Saguna as well as the Nirguna. Everything is there in the Om. Yah prayati tejan deham. One who leaves the body like this attains my highest self, he says. And how we can devote to the Lord, 6 ways of our worship, which Shri Krishna describes in the 9th Adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita. He says, Satatam kirtayantaha mam. Kirtan means praising the Lord, singing for the glory of the Lord, chanting the name of the Lord. This is kirtan. Second is yatanta, ever performing all the efforts that are needed, doing our actions, kartavya, karma, all our actions towards the Lord. Drada prataha, with a firm resolve, with a discipline that we want to reach the goal, and with that discipline we have to perform our spiritual sadhana. Namasyantak chapam, surrendered with a bhavana of surrender, gratitude towards the Lord for everything that He has given us. Bhakta mam upasate, the one who devotes to me with this kind of a bhava, bhakti bhav, nitya yukta upasate, worships with the self-restraint. So these are the ways we should do bhakti. And what are the other ways of worshipping the divine? Bhagavan says, Gnana yagnena yajanta. With understanding, with knowledge, we have to worship the divine. We cannot worship the divine without proper understanding, and this understanding is given to us by our scriptures. It says, Ekatvena, by being one with the Lord, and that is the highest form of bhakti, the Aikya form, the Aikya bhakti, where we feel that we are the same as Swarupa, me and the Lord are the same, and that is the ultimate principle of Advaita Vedanta. Second is Pruthatvena, where we consider some difference between me and the Lord, between me and the divine, that I am the Bhakta, He is the Lord, I am the Sevak, He is the Swami. With this kind of a differentiation, most of the times, Saguna Bhakti is done with this kind of a differentiation, that is Pruthatvena. And then finally Bhagavan says, Bodha Vishwato Mukham. A lot of other people will worship the Lord everywhere in this universe, where Vishwato Mukham means Vishwarupa as pervading in this entire world, as omnipresent. And these are the different ways we can understand the divine and pray. And never ever he says that God resides in the temple or in the heaven or in the mosque or in the church. He always says either it is one with the, where Jiva is one with the Lord, either it is a Pruthatvena or as a Vishwato Mukham, as a Vishwarupa Swarupa. And then he talks about his Ananya Bhakti. Those people who do Ananya Mam Chintayanta, those who remember me, Bhagavan says, constantly with a one-point devotion. And this kind of a Gnani, Sadhak or a Bhakta, all these people, Paripasate, those who worship the Lord by seeing Him everywhere, not just in the temple or in the church. Tesham Nitya Bhiyuktanam, those who are always connected to me, those people, they see me everywhere. And for this, Bhagavan says, what I do for them? Yogakshemam Mahamya. He says, I carry out all their desires of achieving whatever they want in this world, and whatever is their desire for protecting their possessions, their valuations, and all their whatever they have achieved. All these yoga and kshema, both. Yoga means whatever we want to achieve, and kshema is protecting all our achievements, our possessions. All this, Bhagavan says, it is my responsibility. You don't need to worry about it. So for those kind of bhakta who are ananya bhakta, those who are constantly connected to the Lord, and those who have a lot of self-restraint, their discipline, therefore them, yoga kshemam mahamyam. Bhagavan himself says that I carry out all their desires. They need not worry. They just need to surrender to me. And how can we worship the Almighty? What are the ways? What are the methods? Bhagavan says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Either patram, you offer me a leaf, or if it is not there, a pushpa, a flower, if that is not there, phala, a fruit, or if nothing is there, a toyam, just some water if you worship me with, I am happy. It says, Yome bhaktya prayashyati, offered me with devotion. Bhagavan wants the devotion, the power after the bhakti. And for the person who keeps doing this, prayatatmanaha tadaham bhakti upayatam ashnami. Bhagavan says, whatever is offered to me with love, I accept it gracefully. I am just, Bhagavan is, he only sees the inner love, the power after the bhakti. He does not want a lot of big gifts or, gold or things like that. Worldly objects doesn't attract the Lord. The Lord is only attracted with our power, whatever is our attitude behind our worship. And then he goes on to say in the 9th Adhyaya, give me everything, Arjuna. As a bhakta, you should give me yad karoshi yadadnashi, yajjuhoshi dadasiyata. Whatever you do, all your actions, surrender to me. Whatever you eat, think that you are, this is the Jataragni, everything is part of the Lord. Yajjuhoshi, whatever sacrifice you do in yagna, whatever you do, selfless actions, whatever you give, dadasi, donations, charities, whatever you do as tapa, yat tapashyati kaunteya tatkurushva madarpanam. Madarpanam, offer everything to me. This is how he wants his Ananya Bhakta to offer everything to the Lord. And then Bhagavan says, even for the person who is apichet suduracharo, even a durachari, a person who has many vices, sudurachara, he says many vices, he has such a bad person, even that person, bhajate mamam, worships me with a lot of devotion, with oneness. Sadhu eva cha mantavya. He is a person, is a sadhu purush, he is an ascetic, he is like a saint. Samyak vyavasitais. He has determined his goal in life, and now all his vices, all his papa punya, everything papa is all washed away by becoming a bhakta. So he gives a great solace to all of us. Even if we have done some bad deeds, we have had some vices, even then all of us are eligible to worship the Lord. God is so karunamaya, is so, he is so compassionate. He's all compassionate. And that's why he accepts all the devotions. And for that person, Shipram Bhavati Dharmarma. It says that person shall soon become a great person walking on the path of Dharma. Shashvat Shantim Nigachati. And what is the benefit to that person? He will achieve eternal bliss. And that Bhamteya Pratijani, O Arjun, know well that Name Bhakta Pranashyati. He says, my devotee is never ruined from his path. He always, tries to attain something, and he will always go further and further. He will never be ruined from his path. So in difficulties, we should take the shelter of the Lord, and God is always there with us. We should have that kind of a faith. And then in the 9th Adhyaya, finally he says, Manmana bhava mat bhakto, put your mind in me, O Arjuna. Mad bhakta, be my devotee. Do all the yagnas for me, bow down, surrender to me, and you shall attain me only, and you will know me as your own self with Aikya Bhava. And this is what is the ultimate principle of Vedanta, that we have to understand God as our own self. This is what Bhagavan himself says in the 13th Adhyaya. He says, Shitrak Jamma Chapi Mam Vidhi. I am the knower of all. And that itself is know that I am that part of you. And that is what we need to understand. Mat Parayana. If you become like this, then we become a God-loving devotee. So life of a devotee, Bhagavan says in the 10th Adhyaya, he says, Machitta, whose mind is constantly in me. Madgata Prana, one whose life is devoted to me completely. Bodhayantah Parasparam, a devotee, when he meets each other, two devotees meet, they inspire each other by saying that, oh, I have done this. They inspire each other. Nityam Kathayanta, then they talk about the Lord, his stories, all his, Leela and everything. Tushyanti Charamanti, they are always contented and connected to me. And this kind of devotees are of great value to the Lord. And the benefits of such a loving, ever-loving devotion to the Lord, he says, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, for those kind of devotees who are always connected to me, Tachatam Priti Purvakam, those who devote to me with a lot of love, understanding. What Bhagavan does for them, he says, I give them pure intellect, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. I gave them that Sukshma Buddhi, that intellect, that pure intellect with which they can attain me. And that is the beauty of the Lord, that is the glory of the Lord. He is so kind and so compassionate. He gives such things for the Lord. So we should thank Lord for everything, for all the blessings that has been given to us in our life, right from our birth in a good family, education, the kind of good things we have had in life. For everything, we should thank the Lord every day of our life and every moment of our life. The 11th Adhyaya is the Vishwarupa Darshana. where in the final shlokas, Bhagavan shows the Vishwarupa to Arjuna and finally summarizes a devotee's journey, a spiritual journey. Says that devotee will only attain me who matkarma kruta, who does everything for me, all the karma yoga, all the sadhana. He says matparam, he surrendered to me, gnana parayana nishtha, who is my bhakta, bhakti yoga, who does devotion, who is Sanghavarjita, who is without attachments, who has a vairagya towards worldly objects, Nirvaira Sarva Bhuteshu, who is devoid of raga and dvesha. But this kind of a person only is eligible to reach the highest goal. And then finally he describes in the 12th Adhyaya the Bhakti Yoga, all the other important things. The 12th Adhyaya, Bhagavan again describes all the different types of bhakti and says, Mayeva mana adatsva, give your mind, May buddhim niveshaya, your intellect. These are our two biggest assets, but Bhagavan says, give all this to me, surrender to me. Nivasishyasi mayeva, you shall live in me only. At urdhvam na sanshaya. There is no doubt that you will get an elevated journey. Your journey, future journey will be much better. Finally, in the 18th Adhyaya, when Bhagavan is summarizing everything that he has said in Geeta ji, he again talks about surrender to the Lord, Ishwar Arpana Bhavna, Karma Yoga, and here he says, do your duty as your devotion. He says, Yatah Pravrutti Bhutanam, Swakarmana Tamabhyarja, all our karmana, all our self duties, all our enjoined actions, our prescribed duties, Tam Abhyarja, we should worship that Lord. And which Lord? He describes here Ishwara. Who is that Ishwara? Yatah Pravrutti Bhutanam, from where all the beings are created. He is the creator of this universe. He is the Nimitta Karana of this universe, like a kumbhar who creates a pot. Not only that, he says, Yena Sarvamidam Tatam, who pervades in this entire universe, who is there in this entire universe as part of the creation. And not just he is the Nimitta Karan, but Lord himself is also the Upadana Karana, the part of the creation. With this understanding, we have to surrender all our actions that we do to the Lord. Sindhim Vindati Manava, and that person only will attain the ultimate goal of his or her life. And that is what Karma Yogi will know the Ishvara well and connects with him through his karma by doing selfless actions, Nishkam Karma, and connects with the Lord. And finally he says, Swakarma, Swakarmanyapi Sada Kurvano Matmatashvaya. He says, all our actions we should actually offer to the Lord. And for this person like this, Mat Prasada, he says, by my grace, we will achieve the highest state, Shashwatam Padam, the highest state, which is the eternal state, the Brahma, we will attain the Brahma, and that is what is a final destination for us. So by Karma Yoga, we need grace of the Lord, we also need Bhakti, and then finally Gnana Nishta, and then with this understanding Gnana, when we know that we are the same with Swarupa, we are the same, then we get the liberation of the moksha, the freedom from all our limitations. In 18th Adhyaya, again, Bhagavan says, you are dependent on the Lord. He says, Ishvara Sarva Bhutana Mrittesha Arjuna Tishtati. He says, the divinity is right there within us. We don't have to look outside in temples or everywhere else in heaven. We don't have to say God is sitting there up. It is there inside us as an Antaryami. He is sitting there. Ramayan Sarva Bhutana. He says it makes all the beings go round and round like a merry-go-round, as if we are going Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. As if we are sitting on a machine, we are going round and round. And Jitni Chavi Tithi Ramana, he says, by his magic, by his Maya Shakti, he says people go round and round. And Ishvara can only be obtained, we have to understand that it can only be obtained with the divinity understood within us. And that's why the spiritual journey is called an Antara Yatra. It is an inner journey. We don't have to look outside to find the divinity. We have to look inside, go deep within us to identify the divine within us. So finally, what are the benefits of devotion and bhakti in life? It helps us connect to the higher power in life. We can call it divine, we can call it God, we call it Almighty, whatever we accept His greatness everywhere. We may give it whatever name, but that is that power which is there, which controls everything, which we know as a creator and the sustainer of this universe. Not only that, also the destroyer of this universe. He maintains his cosmic order and has created all the rules through which everything is governed, all the planets, all the solar systems, all the karma, phala, how everything is working. He is the creator. That is what we have to understand. And this helps us provide the right understanding towards our life, because bhakti is very powerful, allows us to gracefully accept all situations by surrendering ourselves whenever we don't have any control over the situation. It helps us surrender to the Lord and gives us peace, lessens our complaints about our life, because we see the gratitude of the Lord always, and lessens our ego and pride and makes us humble, because here we see that we are the nimitta, we are just an instrument in the hands of the Lord. And this is how we can change our life, it can transform our life with this way. The devotion is a very, very powerful tool which will make us soft from inside, which will make us more eligible to understand this divine knowledge that Bhagavan Shri Krishna is talking about in Bhagavad Gita. So the secret of true happiness is in unwavering devotion to the Lord. We have to go deep within us to understand this divinity, to have a kind of a contact with our divinity, to, who will guide us in our life. And this only will give us the true happiness. And our Shastras, all our Shastras scream and tell us that happiness is not outside in the objects, it is within us. We have to sit silently and go deep within us to feel, to understand, to have that bliss within us. This, I come to the end of the talk. I pay my gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. I pay my tributes to the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved and transmitted so as to reach us. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.